I'm recording this the day after a jury in Minneapolis returned a verdict of guilty on all counts in the trial of the former police officer under whose knee George Floyd died last year. Looking through the lens of a practicing Christian, a couple of things stand out for me: the importance of witness testimony and the enormity of the task still before us. As I have noted before, the New Testament Greek word for testimony or witness is where we also get the word martyr, which gives you the idea that testifying to something, bearing witness to it, can have life and death implications. Some of those who testified under oath in Minneapolis clearly were changed profoundly by what they witnessed last May. Darnella Frazier, 17 at the time she witnessed the killing, which she recorded with her phone's video camera, said, "It's been nights I stay up apologizing and apologizing to George Floyd for not doing more and not physically interacting and not saving his life." Another teenager testified, "I felt like there wasn't really anything I could do. As a bystander, I was powerless there and I was failing to do anything." Asked why she shouted to Mr. Chauvin to release Mr. Floyd, she said, "I knew time was running out, or it had already, that he was going to die." The teen clerk at the convenience store who accepted the possibly counterfeit $20 bill from Mr. Floyd struggles still with guilt. "If I'd have just not taken the bill, this could have been avoided." An off-duty firefighter, also trained as an EMT and a mixed martial arts fighter, both pushed back at the defense's attempt to portray the gathered witnesses as threatening to the officers in their anger, essentially telling the court that witnessing a murder at the hands of the authorities is very upsetting. What all of the witnesses saw last year, they had to relive again and again. Testifying in court was hard and sad and scary for them. None of them wanted to see what they saw and say what they said, but they did it. Years after his World War II PT boat service, John F. Kennedy was asked how he got to be a hero. He answered, "It was involuntary. They sank my boat." Those witnesses' testimony and the videos recorded by people who just happened upon the scene made the case for conviction compelling. They happened upon an event that called upon them to do more than they probably thought they were capable of, and they did mighty things. So a verdict is returned and some measure of accountability is reached, but as President Biden said in his remarks last night, it is not enough. We can't stop here. In order to deliver real change and reform, we can and we must do more to reduce the likelihood that tragedies like this will ever happen again. There's more to do. It's the work we do every day to change hearts and minds as well as laws and policies. That's the work we have to do. Only then will full justice and full equality be delivered to all Americans. I've heard from both talking heads in the media and people I've talked to over the past day that there's a lot of hope that this will be a genuine turning point for the better in this country, for accountability and equal treatment under the law. But also a lot of fear that people will be satisfied to interpret this one guilty verdict as evidence that justice has now been served, and with the bad apple removed from the bunch, the system has been proven sound. I'm having a mixture of thoughts myself. I do think that this case and this verdict, so public and so terrible, can be a turning point. But it's not a turning point that puts us within a quarter mile of our destination. Instead, the turning point puts us on a long road, pointing in a more hopeful direction. I'm just hoping the long road doesn't turn out to be the Daytona 500, with repeat after repeat of the same territory. What does any of this have to do with faith? In recent weeks, the lectionary selections from the epistles have been from 1 John, which articulates the tension between abiding in God and being thus cleansed of all sin, and being a fallible human who of necessity must confess to sin. It makes me think of the Wesleyan ideal of going on to perfection, being made perfect in the love of God, which is a lifelong project for the saints. In this week's selection from 1 John is the verse, "Little children, let us love, not in word or speech, but in truth and action." I would hasten to add, I don't think this means we shouldn't be loving in our words, just that we shouldn't stop once we've said the right thing. Our willingness to bear witness, to testify to the truth in all matters, including our faith, should be our life's work. And as I quoted in my message a couple of weeks ago from an online article, church decline is not a rejection of our message of love. It's a rejection of our movement's failure to model that message for the world. The road ahead is long, and it's not fully visible to us. I hope none of us ever has to witness a crime such as last May in Minneapolis. But I do hope that in all times and in all circumstances, each of us can testify in word and deed to God's love for all people, so that we can help make the case for our Lord's continuing presence in the world.